Good morning, Sheddies!
Yo.
How's everyone doing today?
So,
What's going on, Nick? Nick has his top fan badge. What's up, George? Welcome.
what? Nigga, a top fan badge? Oh, I can't wait till everybody come on, because we definitely got to talk about me getting blocked on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, you got blocked yesterday,
I'm
huh?
finna weeds them out.
Let me get you this thing over here.
We finna weeds them out. We gotta wait till everybody log in, though. What's up, George? What it do? Tom Delaney. Who's that? Tom Delaney. Stay safe and keep... Oh, them is old.
Yeah, that's from earlier. It's from Almeida. Coffee time.
Damn,
With
Almeida got the YouTube piece.
Almeida.
Okay.
Yeah.
What it do, JT? Hey, did Sawyer do his push-ups?
Uh-oh.
Nah, I texted him yesterday. He said Sawyer been doing them.
What's going on, Hako? Good to see you. Rianne, Heather Marie.
Hey, Rayanne.
Nice to see you as always.
Rayanne was at a lake, and she was having all the fun. I'm kind of jealous, too.
Mm-hmm.
She was at a lake fishing, getting all the views. I was hating. I was in the pictures like, damn, that's messed up.
So we have a really good show today. We have Catherine Lewis. She's NECANN nominee for Business Leader of the Year, which is cool. It's part of our continuing
Hello, Lucky.
segment
Lucky
where
log in
we
every day on my Instagram and say
up?
hello.
What's up, Lucky?
Now I want to be in my feed.
I bet. And so we're gonna have Catherine on as part of our continuing.
I love you, Lucky, but I can't do it. I'm live right now, man. I'm already live with somebody.
Part of our continuing
Eric, make sure you check your
series
feed.
segment where we bring on
What's
NECANN
on my
nominees for different categories and we showcase them. So we're happy today is one of those days. Saturdays also is as well. So Tuesdays and Saturdays you can come back and always join us as we interview another NECANN nominee. So we're excited. And then we also have Rick Campanella is coming back on. Rick Campanella is coming back on from Brothers Grimm Seeds, who has come on before.
The one that sent out the seeds?
The one that sent out the crazy seeds.
And he didn't give me none?
Well,
yeah, me and Rick got a lot to talk about.
And because you're going to be starting your own grow soon. And so it would be really cool to get some genetics from him, right?
It would be really cool to get some genetics.
Morning, Jen. Morning, Ruben. How's everyone doing?
I'm just playing Rick. Rick probably watching like, what the...
Yeah, Rick's like, I'm not coming on the show.
I'm not coming on no more.
No more seeds.
What's up, Jessica?
Thanks for liking and sharing the stream. We appreciate it, guys.
Okay, so everybody got to listen to this. Sawyer, I told Sawyer is JT's son. And he is 10 years old. He just turned 10, double digits. And so I started him on this push-up thing. I told him he got to get more consistent. So I said, look, how many push-ups can you do? So he did 7.5 push-ups for me. And JT just put in the comments that was like a week ago. JT put in the comments that Sawyer is on pace to do 11 today. Gonna do with him when I get home from work. So Sawyer went from 7 to 11 in a week. Just letting y'all know.
That's awesome.
Sawyer's a beast.
That's awesome, actually. Right?
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
I wish I had
Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work, Sawyer.
Push-ups when I was younger.
Yesterday, my sister came over.
Your wits.
It was her birthday. We had a socially distant little birthday celebration. She usually doesn't watch the show, but I just wanted to. I wished her a happy birthday in person, but just wanted to say happy birthday to her. Tomorrow is my youngest son's birthday.
I can't join you, my man. I'm literally live. How am I going to join you, brother? What's up, Boston Bionics? How you doing, man? JT said I done 4. So shout out to JT. He did 4 push-ups. Look at it. It's not about where you start. It's about where you finish.
And it's also about taxes.
Well, taxes come in.
Calculates, huh?
Taxes come in when you pay for something. That's anytime you pay for something, that's when taxes come in. All week, that's a full. Hey Sheila, hey Heather. All week, that's a full total for me. That's good, JT. Next week you're gonna be able to do 6, and then a week after that you're gonna be able to do 8. Then a week after that you're gonna do 10. Happy B Day C and B. Who's Bondi Media again?
Friend of mine.
They said Happy B Day C and oh, is that your son?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Brandon and what's the other one?
Zach is the other one.
But they said C. You
B
know,
and C. Oh, Christelle.
Oh, your sister.
Yes.
Can we not talk about birthday? Today's Junior is 21 and I'm clinging to dental. Okay, Jessica, we'll not talk about birthday. So everybody sing happy birthday to Junior. He turned 21. Happy birthday to him. Happy birthday to Junior. Happy birthday, dear young Junior. Happy birthday to him. Doo-doo, ding. Shout out to Junior. He turned 21. He finna be out at the bars. Finna be getting his party on. Because I remember when I turned 21. Well, I don't remember when I turned 20. But I do remember the day leading up to 21. So, happy birthday to my man Junior. And didn't you just get him a car too? Jessica, didn't he just get a car? My man's finna be out and about. And let me tell y'all, my man Junior got long hair too. It's a wrap. You ain't gonna be able to tame him, Jessica. That's Tarzan running around.
So, hey, Catherine, were you giving me 2 camera angles so I could decide which was the best, or?
No, I only have one computer, one camera. I'm not sure what this is. I've never done this before, so I don't know
Oh my
what this
ass.
is.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good to know. I'll just sort of ignore that, whatever
Good
that
morning,
other
Melissa.
one is.
We'll
do that. Perfect.
What's up, guys? Johnny Nugs here. What up, Johnny Nugs? What it do, baby?
And
Keep doing your thing,
give me just
brother,
1 second,
and I'll
Catherine.
be watching and rooting from distance. Much love, Wentz. Shut your filthy mouth. He cut it all off. Oh, he cut it off? Oh, that means he just gonna be a businessman now. He went from getting a girl to a straight businessman. He finna be CEO. The next CEO. Nice shirt, Eric. Way to rap. Oh, you like it? You like the shirt? Yeah, it's a dope shirt. And they hooked me up, so I'm always wear somebody's stuff that hooked me up. Mike, do you remember where you took me on my 21st birthday? JT said that.
I think I do. I think we probably aren't talking about that, though.
Scotty Too Hottie is in my Instagram. Everybody say what's up to Scotty Too. Much love, my brother. He's into waves now. Oh, that's my man. Hey, tell him I had the dips too. Look, I gotta show y'all. I gotta go on my Instagram. It's a picture of me. I had dips. I used to have dumb waves. I feel him, Jessica. If he ever needs some wave tips, just tell him to let me. Actually, I can give you some right here live. The number one tip is always have your brush handy. Your brush is like everything. It's like your car keys. It's like your phone. You always gotta have your brush handy, and you gotta brush your hair at least. This is at least 14 hours a day. At least.
That seems
you gotta
excessive.
be brushing your hair so nah, it's not excessive for real. You gotta be brushing your hair so much your arm, you start getting like, you see why my biceps is big? This is from lifting, but in the early days, this was from brushing, from doing this all day. I used to sit there like, all day. Then you gotta put the do-rag on that night, and you gotta tuck the flap. See me, I was back in my days. That was the 50 Cent era, so that was when 50 Cent first album came out. So he wore the do-rag with the flap hanging. So I was trying to be like 50 Cent. I was that Get Rich or Die Trying. That was me. That was my album. I used to blast that in my ear with my Walkman every day. And I used to have my do-rag flap hanging out. But they don't do that. No, the youngsters now, they talk mess about that. So you gotta like tuck it, otherwise you're gonna get clowned on. You gotta like tuck the flap.
So we should start a contest thing today before we get in too deep. And also, we do have Catherine Lewis, who's waiting patiently. But we should start the contest first, because what always happens is we welcome the guest on, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, by the way, we forgot to start the contest, and then I sort of interrupt the guest to be like, help us out with the contest. We are going to have Catherine help us with the contest, but I just want to start it first for today, so we can. By the way, did you eat that Kind bar?
Absolutely not.
Did you try and then you realized what you were doing?
Absolutely terrible.
Well, you don't like chocolate, right?
No, this has dark chocolate, which is a double negative for me. Like, sometimes I can, like, mentally take the chocolate and just be like, I'm just in it for the caramel, the nuts. I don't want to say it like that. That's why I stuttered, because I panicked. Because I ain't want to say it.
We're learning a lot today.
Yeah, I do it for the other things, and I just try to bypass the chocolate in my head. But when it's dark chocolate, that's like for every, cubic centimeter of chocolate in my mouth, is like doubles or triples when it's dark chocolate. So it's just overwhelming for me, and I just kind of want to just cut my tongue off.
Johnny Nugs in the audience, by the way, brings up an interesting point about contest access to the birthday party. The other thing too, though, is we have I don't know if you can see it out there.
Oh yeah, that's how we were supposed to do. Remember, I said that about the contest. What JT said?
What?
Remember the
How many jelly beans
in the jar?
How many eggs are left in your egg jar? I'm just kidding. Let's not talk about the egg jar.
Well, we already talking about it, so let's do it.
No. By the way, I cannot eat another egg today, so nobody bother donating.
All right,
today.
we'll have to do one of these fish yours, and we just have to count them. And we'll go buy some candy today. We'll make that.
I think you should have some fish oil. You should ingest some, but let's make
fish oil make you fart too much. And they said fish oil, you can get omega-3s from other spots other than fish oil.
Hemp oil tastes way better.
So yeah, see?
Yeah, but not pickled. So, Catherine, I normally, and I'm just going to bring you in because I always try to like set it up very professionally, and like I'm going to do the introduction, and then I'm leaving my guest hanging there, and then we end up like rambling for more minutes and leaving you sitting there. And then we end up conversing with you and people can't see you, so I'm just going to bring you on with us now. Catherine Lewis, thank you so much for joining us.
We really do the contest.
Yeah, we really... He's like...
I'm sorry, Catherine. I didn't mean to interrupt your introduction. Everybody, this is the Catherine Lewis. She is so wonderful, and we are so happy to have you, Catherine. But we didn't even do the contest.
Yeah, So, Catherine, I know you might not have seen the show before. Every day we give away a prize, right? And it's just to sort of encourage people to watch and to play along and have some fun and stuff while the show's going on. So what we have done, and if Actually, if you are you able to message Heather Marie in just a moment? Do you have ability to do that?
I do.
Oh, wonderful. So what happens is Heather Marie is actually we're lucky enough to have her today watching so that she can figure out who wins the contest, right? So we're gonna have you kind of like choose what the people have to guess, okay? And we'll talk about it in just a second. And then you can message that to Heather Marie, and then people can start guessing, and Heather Marie can watch. And just as a reminder, everyone, like if you guess it's the first person who guesses correctly, but you should still keep guessing because if that person isn't around at the end of the show, whoever guesses correctly and is here at the end of the show is the person who wins the prize. I actually have. This is what the prize is going to be today. We've got CBD honey sticks from Hemp. They were really cool. They don't pay us. They just give us free stuff to give away to all you guys. So, what? Oh, because you want taxes? I was saying this was for me actually. This was my personal.
You decided to give it away now, so
now there's taxes.
So here's how it works. If you don't want it, it goes to me. And then if I don't want it, then it goes to them, and then I take taxes.
Catherine, as you can imagine, people don't send the white dude they've never heard of free stuff. They send the Super Bowl champ free stuff, right? So, usually he's the one that like gets the stuff, and then if there's like something left over, maybe I get access to it. This was actually, they were really cool. They just dropped us off a care package. It's a local CBD place called Hemp, and they're really awesome. Anyway, it's 250 milligrams CBD honey stick. So that's going to be the prize today. So if you guess correctly, this is what you're going to get. And Ralph from Hemp, I'm sorry to tell you that I'm not going to give away my one. You're going to have to mail one. I'm sorry, because I want to keep this one.
Oh, now you want to keep it.
Well, so Ralph thought I liked tea, and so he gave me these CBD honey sticks. But I'm not a tea drinker, but I like honey, so I'll find something to do with it. And it's pretty cool. It's honey sticks, and there's a bunch of them in there. So I don't know. I'm sure they're good. The other stuff was good. So, so Catherine, and thank you for being such a good sport with this. So Catherine, what we like to do is, like, we've had different, we have the people out in the audience guess. Like, we're going to have you come up with something. They need to guess it, right? The first person who guesses wins. You don't give away the answer. Don't give away hints. Sometimes people are like, right away, I'm going to give a hint because they think their question is too hard. But that's okay. That's okay. It needs to be hard. Because we have a lot of people watching, so it can't be something easy. So just to give you a sense of some past contest ideas, forgive me, we've had, for instance, like Eric's favorite movie, or my favorite science fiction writer, or we've had a guess if they were going to be an Olympian, what Olympic sport would they play? We've had Eric's favorite sea animal or sea creature. So as you can see, it's a varied thing. It's kind of fun when it can be something that's like everyone can kind of get. We don't want people to have to Google stuff. That doesn't make sense because then they're not watching the show, right? So, but it could be it could be something. It could be like I don't know. I don't want to say like. It could be like your favorite type of food, or it could be your favorite vacation spot, or it could be I don't know. It could be anything. It could have nothing to do with you. It could, and a call's going to have nothing to do with you if you don't want to, if you don't want to reveal too personal of any information. Like, don't say, like, guess my mother's maiden name, because that's, right? Or, like, the last 4 digits of my social. But, it could be something fun. So, I don't know, like, I don't want to put too much pressure on you. If you can't think of anything, that's fine. But anything kind of come to mind that could be the contest idea? And it could have to do with your business, too, because you are nominated for Business Leader of the Year from NECANN. We're really excited to have you on, by the way.
Exciting, thank you. Well, we have somebody else who's participating in the call very noisily down here. I don't know if you can hear her.
Okay.
But we have a store mascot.
Okay.
And we need to know what her name is.
All right.
What she is.
Perfect. Okay, so everyone, there's a female store mascot, and so by the way, is this the store mascot? Because I have a bunch of titles up for you, both medical marijuana caregivers of Maine, also owner. I'm sorry, I'm reading such small text myself. Owner of Homegrown Healthcare Alternative Wellness.
Yes.
And also the Apothecary. Oh God, I'm sure I butchered. It's too early. I haven't had breakfast. I'm so sorry. Apothecary.
Apothecary.
Apothecary. I think that's what I was saying, but it just felt like it was coming out wrong. Learning Center. Apothecary Learning Center. So which of these amazing places is the mascot residing in?
In homegrown healthcare.
All right, excellent. So folks, it's a female mascot. That's all we know. I'm presuming it's an animal and not a person, but we need to know it's the name and also
And what she is.
So, and Heather probably already knows this answer, does she?
She will in 2 seconds.
Okay, let's let Heather know. So, because people are already on there guessing, because they definitely, it's really it's really interesting. We give away some really interesting stuff on the show, and there are sometimes like people go nuts over some of the stuff, and then some of the other stuff they're just like, meh. It's really interesting. And we're day 63 on this show, and we've been giving away stuff like Can you believe, Catherine? Can you believe we're like open 7 days a week?
7 days.
We do this show 7 days a week.
7 days.
You're staying busy.
We are. But so thank you for messaging Heather. The contest has begun. It's for the CBD Honey Sticks. Catherine, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for spending some time with us this morning. We really appreciate it, especially like still smiling through our foolishness. We
Ellen Brown says, "Love Catherine Lewis."
Yeah, Ellen Brown says hi from the audience.
Hi, Ellen.
We love Ellen too. So you're obviously doing lots of cool stuff in Maine. And so I want to give you the chance to talk about some of them. Which one should we hit first?
Well, I started off with a trade association a little over 10 years ago.
Okay.
So with the trade association, we are the first trade association, I believe, in the country that focused on the medical marijuana program and made effective laws to change the entire program. And we focus on educating the community, to both the caregiving community and the state community on how to run this program and make it cohesive and usable and real.
Very cool. And I don't reside in Maine, but what I do know about the industry in Maine is just that the access for a lot of folks is a lot easier than in other states. So that would seem that you and your cohorts had a part in that. So thank you for that.
That we did. We worked really hard on making the medical program functional for the patients, and the way that we've got the laws passed the right way is focused on patients. So, we're the only state, I believe, that does not have a patient registry. When a patient gets their card, it's between them and their doctor. They do not license with the state.
Okay.
So they have complete privacy, which is a huge thing. And we also have an affirmative defense, which is unique in the court of law, that if a patient is caught outside of the program, if they have the appropriate defense, the judge can throw mandatory sentencing out the window.
Okay. Oh, very good. And so, I noticed that you're, because you were nominated for Business Leader of the Year, so clearly, other than the trade association, you've been busy, and, I know where you have your mascot floating around. Can you tell us a little bit about, but forgive me, where in Maine are you? And I want to be Maine savvy.
We are just outside of Augusta, which is the capital of the state. So we're just about a third of the way up the state, right in the center.
Oh, cool. We're
located in Winthrop.
We've been talking about doing a little like socially distant, safe road trip with the show, and Maine has been sounding like it could be one of our first stops. So that's why I wanted to know where you were. I'm just trying to become more Maine, like geographically savvy with Maine and stuff.
About an hour and a half north of the Kittery border.
Okay, that's very cool. Okay, so tell us. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That was silly of me. Tell us more about homegrown healthcare alternative wellness.
Homegrown healthcare was started at our kitchen table, my husband and I. Glenn decided to become a patient back in, well, he was a patient way back, but then he was a patient in 2002 with his doctor's note and started growing for himself because we didn't have any access. There was no dispensaries, no storefronts. So he started taking care of himself. I got a little bit involved coming from the business world. I had my own payroll company and insurance agency and totally switched tracks and went into a family cannabis business. We were cultivating for him and kind of made a little extra for others. And as the program evolved, we were able to help more and more people and encourage other people to become caregivers to help more patients. The laws were a lot more restrictive back then. So over the years, we've made amendments to the law to make it more business friendly. So the caregivers don't have to be treated as a backyard drug dealer. That we're actually, looked and sought after by patients. Doctors reach out to us asking for guidance for different patients' ailments, and we've really just maintained the focus on the patient and what their needs are based on their conditions.
And the caregivers in Maine are allowed to cultivate, right?
Yes, we're completely vertically integrated. We cultivate, we process, and we distribute.
Oh wow, that's amazing. So really, you're like what happened was that Maine sort of enabled the caregivers to start their sort of like be little craft cannabis companies, really, right? Because you get to hyper focus not on just like what the patients need, but also you're sort of soup to nuts covering quality control and like trust is always such a difficult thing with medicine, right? I mean, you have to trust your sources, and when you're not, not everyone can be vertically integrated, and when you're not, you're sort of trusting outside sources.
It's hard to hear,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have here, we have the garden. We have an extraction lab. High Five Labs is now part of our team here in the same facility. We have a huge kitchen facility, and then we also have the storefront. We are a little bit more unique. We also offer individual patient consultations. So we'll work with a patient with their traditional doctor, as well as helping them with their cannabis needs. So we kind of go from soup to nuts, and I can actually walk you around the shop.
Oh, that would be
and take you around.
That would be great. We'd love to see it.
We can.
Yeah, because I know Maine actually has been very like compared to a lot of other states. There's a lot more wiggle room for folks that are opening licensed cannabis business as to like the facilities even, right? And what it does is it actually gives the opportunity because often Maine doesn't necessarily have large dense a large dense population, so it can be difficult for businesses sometimes to like the customer base might be kind of sparse sometimes, and which means that you need to run lean as a business. And it's just really cool that like Maine has enabled for those businesses to still exist in a lean fashion without like the crazy, and I don't want to make too many assumptions, but at least without such strict compliance even around like what facilities are supposed to look like, as long as it's clean and safe, and it
Right.
and it makes it so much more accessible to folks and keeps the prices down too. And I think that's why there's so many folks that travel from Massachusetts to Maine to transact and purchase medicine and cannabis and products and stuff.
Right. Well, we've really had to focus on that because there's a lot of people in our area that really can't afford their meds. And if you're talking to cancer patients or MS patients or people with addiction issues, a lot of them have been unemployed for a while now, and that's a real challenge. One of the things that my husband really focused on when we first started was teaching others how to take care of themselves, how to grow, how to take it and process it into a usable form for their needs. He did that a lot with veterans, and he did it a lot with addicts. We even put in a post program, so for people who are suffering from addiction issues, once we get them through the recovery process, they were left to hang out to dry, and they weren't necessarily as successful as they could have been. So now we offer a support group that meets once a week that is specifically for people who use cannabis to help them through the addiction process.
That's amazing.
There's more to it than just one thing.
I'm sorry?
There's just so much more to it than just one piece.
No, absolutely. And by the way, so with COVID happening right now, does that support group turn into like a virtualized one, like many others?
Yeah, and kind of more of a personalized. So we have some people that will come other times, and we just meet outside and sit and let them vent and deal with the issues at hand. And, we're not therapists or anything. We're just people who've been through the same thing.
And that's so amazing because, there is a lot of the recovery community that is like anti-cannabis. They're very prohibitionist toward it. And so a lot of folks that are going through recovery get sort of conflicting messages from different places. You'll have some people that will say, it can be something that can be used responsibly to help. And then there's other folks that are like, it's evil and, you're going to fall right back into, bad habits the moment that, you consume. And I think, as with always though, right, it's really about responsible, it's with all of us, whether you're using it for medicine or you think that you're not, like, it's always about responsible consumption anyway, and that's contextual, right? That's dependent upon the situation.
It's very individual.
By the way, we do have a segment every week on the show. It actually happens tomorrow. It's called Rehabulous with Nurse Cheryl. And she's a green nurse. She's a cannabis-friendly nurse that she talks about a lot of different medical, sort of medical things going on and issues, but she certainly does like to talk about cannabis and rehab. So I'm sure she would love to have you on at some point because, it's always hit and miss, right? And even just with, it's hit and miss with like the support around it. And it's not necessarily always easy to find consistent messaging around it, especially when a lot of medical professionals are hampered by sort of federal influences that are kind of keeping them from expounding the virtues of cannabis, even if they believe in it, right? Because they don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want workplaces affected, which I think is what, and I don't know, like it, first of all, we would love to see your shop at whatever point that or show us around whenever you're willing to show us. Yeah. I will say that, Maine, as much as Massachusetts has been sort of at the forefront of really trying to push to be the vanguards and the leaders in some areas, where we've really fallen short is on the caregiver side. And it's just sort of wonderful to see that Maine is treating caregivers the way that, more toward the way, I'm sure there's room for improvement, but just to be seeing Maine treating caregivers more towards the way that they should be treated is really wonderful and heartwarming.
Thanks. It really is. It's been a challenge because the bigger guys want to come in, and it's been proposed that we have it just be the dispensaries and the caregivers aren't needed, and that's completely false. We like the fact that we have 2,500 small businesses that are caring for others. We're all making a decent living, and we're also helping each other instead of just, eight state-run dispensaries and that's all you have. Here a patient has a choice. If they don't like the atmosphere or the products that I have, they can go wherever they want. We run our businesses all different.
Mm-hmm. And so where you're vertically integrated, do you end up do others wholesale your products or do you carry others' products, or is just everything you manage to have?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, we think that there's enough room for other people. I can't make it all. And there's some people that have, focused on specific products, and I like to carry their products in my shop. Mm-hmm. We do also do wholesaling and manufacturing out of our facility here. So products that we have in our 2 stores, we also can have in other people's stores if they like. Where we specialize in certain things that others might not.
Yeah, Eric's.
I'm curious, is anybody coming good on the contest? I'm afraid that if I move around too much, we'll give it away.
There's been a lot of comments of people sort of commenting on what we're talking about. So Heather Marie will have to report into us and let us know if people are guessing. Again, we need the type of mascot that is. We know it's a female, but it's a female mascot, and you need to guess the type of animal and the name of the animal. And today
Correct.
It's for CBD honey sticks, 250 milligrams. So this is a good prize. So you all should be pushing on that. I don't know why you're not.
So I'm gonna unplug the computer.
Okay.
I'm gonna start taking you around for a tour.
Awesome.
We have a fairly large facility because we host a practitioner's office here. So when you come to Homegrown, you can meet with a nurse practitioner and get your medical certification.
Oh, very cool.
So we have our reception office. It's kind of closed right now.
Yeah, Eric, we've been trying to set it up. Eric needs to get his card renewed here in Massachusetts.
And the mascot's now following me. I'm keeping the camera up high. So we have, you can't see in there. We've been closed. That's locked. The patient room's locked. We'll get in there. The store, we're coming into the store. You have to excuse our mess because we've been on curbside only. So we've kind of been a little bit lazy. But this is the store.
And by the way, in the state of Maine, does it look like it's going to remain curbside for the near future? Or are they trying to change that?
No, so we actually can be open to the public.
Okay.
Just limiting the amount of people in, and we are contemplating that. But currently, my husband has just come through a very serious cancer diagnosis, and he's doing very well. He wasn't supposed to, but he's doing very well. But we also have 2 employees that also have cancer. One just went through surgery, and the other one is on year 6. So we're trying to keep our employees safe as well as a lot of the patients that we have.
Yep.
So we're doing it slower than some.
Well, that's good. Better safe than sorry, right?
Our store is a little more relaxed. We have a couple of patients that like to come in and ting on the piano.
Oh, very cool.
People come in, grab themselves a coffee. We have some amazing friends that we network with, and we have some gemstones
Ooh.
locally sourced.
Oh, that's cool.
We actually have some parents that use our gemstones, and you see we have little grab bags in there for their kids. Their kids, when they do well in school or with their grades, they come in and they pick the grab bags and they get little gemstones.
Oh, that's sweet.
But we carry a lot of products that we make ourselves. But here's one. This is Buzzies. They do some amazing pre-rolls for people who just want to try a little bit.
And are those and those are THC pre-rolls?
Those ones are THC, but we also have, like in this jar here. Can you see it?
I can, yes. Aha.
That's all.
That looks nice.
So we have pre-rolls of the hemp. If you can see down here, these are pre-rolls. We do the tinctures, transdermal time-release pain patches that we make right here. We have vape carts. A lot of people doing vape carts. We do education with people to learn to use safe vape carts, not the stuff with the propylene glycol and all the artificial flavorings and crap that will kill your lungs.
Eric is asking if that was Friday, the movie Friday that he saw on the background there.
Oh, I don't know. It's going back and forth.
Oh, it's your marketing rotation video.
Yeah.
By the way, I have to say it's so nice to see that shops in Maine, like that's why I was like when I asked, like, is that a THC pre-roll, and you're probably like, yeah, of course, because why wouldn't it be? And it's really because Massachusetts dispensaries are always such like sort of like locked down. I don't even want to call it clinical because they don't necessarily feel clinical, but like they wouldn't leave things out on the counter like that. And it's just actually it's so nice and homey to be able to come in a relaxed atmosphere where like you don't feel like everything is a giant security issue, you know?
Well, we actually had some patients come from Massachusetts a couple months ago. And when they came through, now the front door back then before COVID was unlocked. Anybody could come in. And they did. They came in and they stood at the door. If they're looking at there's the front door, and they're looking through at me, and they're just standing there. I'm like, well, are you coming in? And they're like, well, we was kind of waiting for security. I'm like, okay, that would be me.
And welcome, right? You passed.
And they actually made me a little nervous. They were like, you gotta have security. I'm like, do I need to be afraid of you? We're just an apothecary.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
If you really want it, take it. I don't mean that. Don't take it. But then we have our different jars that we do up, different flavors. We've got some Ghetto Bird and Gorilla Glue and Critical Gorilla, Pineapple Fields, lots of good yummy things to pick from. And then edibles, don't forget about those. We do a lot of those here. The Smokies brand we make here for the East Coast. They're actually out of Oregon, but we contracted with them.
Very cool.
Different concentrates, teas, a lot of CBD teas. Can you see those?
Yes. Oh, very cool.
Those are very popular.
Nice.
Great for relaxing. Then I'll take you into, girls, you better all be appropriate. We're going into the manufacturing area.
Oh, wow.
Where the girls have been very busy. So this is the gummy production.
Okay.
We start over here with the cookers, all the molds.
Wow.
And then sometimes we end up doing this is a pre-roll station.
Okay.
If we wanted to make patches, we would be, I don't know if we can. We have the equipment to do the different patches, and we do custom orders. So if another store, manufacturer, or even a patient wants a specific strength or type, we can customize the work. Girls, are you okay being on camera?
And
so from behind.
Do you guys do white labeling also?
We do white labeling. Yep. So we have Miss Kate, who's the kitchen manager over there, pouring some hard candies. We won't interrupt her because that would be a big mess.
Yeah. Hi, Kate.
They're saying hi. And then packaging and shipping. We can take you downstairs and take a quick peek at the extraction area.
Ooh, that would be cool. What sort of extraction do you guys do?
We do solventless, and we also do with ethanol. They also have a butane extraction.
Okay.
Looks a little dark down here.
Ooh. Mood lighting.
Make sure we're all okay with being on. So we start in the lab. We're on live.
Hi there.
This is welcome to High Five. Turn that music down. You're not supposed to be having fun. So they're making stuff.
Get back to work.
This is Miss Mary Kate.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us today.
So they have all their equipment.
Wow. This is so cool to see because in Massachusetts it's not always you don't always get like a.
Hold on a second, I can't hear you. Let's see if I can find some volume. I can't push both buttons and hold it. There we go, that's better.
I was just saying this is so amazing to see because in Massachusetts you don't often get, most people don't get the chance to see sort of behind the scenes, especially for a vertically integrated operation. It's really cool to get a peek at a lot of the different segments of the business. And so impressive that you're working with multiple extraction technologies and that you're still, and for Maine, would you be considered like a medium-sized business in the cannabis industry?
They're a medium size.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see so many extraction technologies. I mean, even here in Massachusetts, there's a lot of places that are planning, very large grows and manufacturing facilities, and there a lot of them. It's just curious to me because they're not spreading out their extraction as much as you are. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, well, we do everything from ice water extraction.
Yep.
They're doing the ethanol, and then Mary Kate, can we go out to the C1D1? Can we go to the C1D1?
I'm not sure.
I can just show you the outside of it anyway.
Let me see if I can get it.
We'll take a walk outside and although the stairs and the computer. Set the computer down and go down the stairs.
By the way, Uncle Pete says hi, and he's telling everyone that you're.
Hey, Uncle Pete!
He's
We love them.
yeah.
They're awesome.
He's saying you and Glenn are great people, and that everyone should go and see you guys.
They do a lot of work with us at the State House. That's the one nice thing about Maine in our community is there's a good group of people
Ooh,
that when
are you still there, Catherine?
the fan and we need help, they all come running. So the extraction lab is new to us, but literally it's.
Are you still there, Catherine? I think you're fading out a little bit.
See what?
We'll give her a sec to get.
And it's cargo. It's 2 cargo containers. Can you see that?
Oh, I can now. Your signal just came back.
Yeah, Yeah, it's the internet.
Well,
It doesn't like me getting that far away.
Yeah, I was gonna say where it has been working amazingly well, and so we have a lot of folks that come on that they have difficulty with their internet, so yours has actually been functioning very well considering.
Yeah, it's just when you get outside.
We do have one weird question that came from the audience, if that's okay, if we give you a weird question.
Sure.
Are you a fan of Wu-Tang Clan?
Am I what?
Are you a Wu-Tang fan? Are you a Wu-Tang Clan fan?
I don't know.
We'll take that. That's our Nick. We have an intern for the show. It's Nick the intern. He's a little crazy, and that's his question. He always that's his favorite band. I think he's just. I think he's hoping it's everyone else's favorite, and so he was.
I like so many different genres. My staff never knows what to think. We start off with sounds of the 70s. We end up with some country, and then we do throw in a little Nickelback, and then we may go with some Disturbed and Corn.
Well, very very cool. It
really depends on the mood.
Well, I'm sure after he hears this, I'm sure Nick the intern he might send you a link to a YouTube video or something like that.
Okay, send it to me. I'll tell you if I like them.
And so actually he's saying in the comments that he's going to. He's worried you don't, but he'll have to pick a good one. He'll have to pick a good song and get that over to you. I wonder, why is Heather Marie Brown putting the time in the thing? That's weird.
She's probably trying to rush you to get off the show.
I hope she's okay.
She's probably trying to rush you to close. I told you she's starting to take advantage of her job description.
She's running
with her job description.
Heather Marie Brown has been amazing, and she sort of has come in. And she's helped
come
us.
on, guys, 11, 12, get off. Heather,
She-
Catherine, it was nice talking to you. Bye. We got to go.
Yeah, she's like, move it along, boys.
Yeah.
Are you all hearing the echo?
Oh, there's probably well.
Hey, Darrell, mind your business.
Nah, we appreciate you joining us, Darrell.
Yeah.
Darrell, there might be an echo sometimes because someday if we get a sponsor, we'll get like little earpieces. But for now, you might sometimes hear the audio go through. That's why you hear a little bit of an echo. Sorry.
So mind your business.
Eric, because Catherine, because we're dudes and this is a morning show, and you would think that we're totally responsible, but we're not. So like we don't usually eat breakfast, which means that it usually takes us about another 45 minutes even from now before, like if we were smart,
I
we
could
just
use some sativa gummies.
Come visit.
Do you differentiate your gummy? Because so I don't. This is my perception, my dumb perception of this, but it feels to me like most places that make THC gummies are doing indica.
I do a hybrid.
Okay. Well,
I do a hybrid, so it's kind of a good mixture. Unless somebody asks me specific and they want, I have some veterans that really prefer the sativas.
Yep.
And so if they ask, I'll make a batch specifically with sativa, or if for a cancer patient, if I need to make something specifically with the indica, I will. But for the general public that I'm putting out there, it's all a hybrid. It's a mixture.
Got it. Yeah, we're both big sativa fans, and I normally kind of have to stay away from a lot of edibles, especially if it's like a friend saying, "Hey, here I made something," because it's usually going to like knock me out. And I get it, because if you consume a little bit too much, it's probably preferable to fall asleep than it is to sort of feel a little too jittery, right? But I'm all about, get me the jitters.
When they consume too much, are not able to sleep. Most people it may knock them out for a little while, but they'll wake up panicky feeling. Especially like with the cancer patients.
I'm ready to
with my
overdose
husband,
on them.
he takes 750 milligrams every day, and this is a maintenance dose.
Wow.
He was on an average for months doing 2,500 milligrams a day. Orally. That didn't even count the suppositories. So that was a ton.
Yeah, somebody was telling me that if there's times when you feel like you may have consumed a little bit too much of an edible, that smelling black pepper was one thing that they were recommending, and then also therapeutic doses of CBD.
Yep. So we recommend for everybody who does edibles that's new, we tell them to go buy some peppercorns, and it's not just sniffing it. If they chew on the peppercorns and get that in the salivary glands, it will help bring them down. The CBD will also help stabilize them in a decent dose, as well as vitamin C. I always tell people, keep the chewable vitamin C handy. You never know, and take 1,500 milligrams and chew it up. You'll feel much better.
That's very cool. Catherine, I wish this knowledge had been out there back when I was like a youngster coming home.
Can she see that?
Coming home too stoned, you know what I'm saying? And like, oh God, what am I going to do? And there's nothing I can do. But like, if somebody, I wish I had known about peppercorn and CBD and vitamin C.
Me too. I'm still a 10 milligram girl. I can't do more than that. It's just too much. But we test everything that we have now, so that makes it a lot easier. It used to be, well, let's try a little bit, and sometimes you SOL.
And I think, and we, just before we wrap up, I think that touched upon something that, it reminds me of earlier when we were talking about like trust and being able to trust your sources and stuff. And with edibles, it's really important to know your number, right? You need to like learn that number so that when you're going out, you can consume, like everyone tells us to take it easy, but if you know what the number is, that helps. But also if you can trust your source that the dosage is correct and consistent every time, right?
Right.
And and what's nice too is when you find somebody that you trust and you keep going back and getting this sort of like the same products, you'll find that, like, I find that they'll have like a consistent effect on me. Like the dosage might be one thing, but how fast does it hit me? How long does it last? Right? And so those are things too that when you find somebody that you can trust and you can find products that you enjoy, you get that consistency, which makes it just much, not, whether you're taking it for medicine or relaxation or whatever it is, like, it's just nice to have to know what you're getting into every time. You know what to expect. You have a consistent expectation, right?
Right. Cannabis is something that everybody is using, whether you're doing it socially or medically. You're all doing it medically. Even socially, are you trying to be socially acceptable? Are you just trying to relax? That's a medical need. You need to relax.
Right.
So it all is medical. And if you're looking at it, I need to help get rest. I need to sleep. Well, don't mix it with candy with red dye, because you're going to have restless leg syndrome from the red dye. Know what you're mixing it with. Know what your purpose is when you're using it.
Catherine, somebody in the comments was asking if they're from out of state, are they allowed to come and visit? Are there rules for people when they come to engage? Do they already have to have their medicinal card? How does that work?
So if you're coming from out of state, if you have a medical card from your home state and it's it's listed on Maine state website, then you can come into any caregiver store or dispensary with your photo ID and your medical card and purchase here in Maine. If you don't have a medical card, you'll have to wait. Adult use is not open for sales as of yet, although we're very, very close.
Excellent. Well, Catherine, we really appreciate your time. We definitely would love to have you back on in the future. I'll follow up, or Heather after the show will follow up and see when is a reasonable time to have you back on, because we really enjoyed having you on. We really appreciate you spending some time with us this morning.
Yes. Do we have a winner?
We might, and so by the way, I know you had a couple of friends watching, so it's always interesting because the friends are always like, I'm gonna win that CBD stuff. But here's what I'll say is we wait until the end of the show. So even, and it kind of, I get it, your friends are gonna be like Catherine's off and I don't want to have to keep watching this show. Thankfully, we at least have Rick Campanella on. He's from Brother Grimm Seed, so it should at least be interesting, right? Like, good. But we're going to announce the winner right at the end. Okay. And I've been watching the comments, so I have a feeling like I might know what the answer is, but I'm not going to give it away. And I will finally say, Catherine, it's been lovely spending time with you, and I hope that the next time that we go up to Maine that we can stop by and say hi.
Oh, that would be awesome. We'd love to have you guys.
Definitely. I would love to come by.
Thank you so much, Catherine. We'll talk with you soon.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So Catherine's awesome, and I need to thank Heather for setting up dinner. This is what I meant.
Oh, shit.
And now
somebody owes me. Just know I'm going through my friends list. Forgot to talk about this. Now that we got some people on, just know I got to go through my friends list on Facebook because apparently it's crazy. Like, I never get on Facebook. Ever. I don't get on Facebook. But then when I started doing the show, I was like, hey, let me start posting a little bit more on Facebook. And it's so weird that as soon as I start posting more on Facebook, all of a sudden, I get blocked. Mr. Zuckerberg blocked me on Facebook because apparently somebody thinks I'm spamming. Very interesting because me personally, don't post that much on Facebook. So I'm thinking, what could it have been that somebody was like, hey, I'm going to spam everything he's posting?
Like market for spam, you mean?
Yeah. And so that's so interesting. I was like, maybe it be the Nebraska fans that that follow me. But then I was thinking like, no, why would a Nebraska fan do that? right? Because most of the people that follow me on Facebook are Nebraska football players and the cannabis community. Very strange. So I started subtracting people. I started thinking in my head like, who could I possibly think that would block me? That would try to get me blocked from Facebook? The person who doesn't engage in politics. So I started thinking, I was like, I was like, maybe it was the same people that snitched on Tara. Or maybe it was the same people that tried to break into the farm.
Or maybe it was the same.
Or maybe it was the same people that tried to get everybody else blocked from Facebook.
Or Cheryl. Somebody called Cheryl at the hospital.
Or it could have been the person that called Cheryl's boss at the hospital. So I was just thinking, I'm like, in order for you to be able to block me, that means you have to be friends with me. Correct? So I was thinking, I was like, maybe I'll just go through my list of people that have a vendetta against the show or this guy. Because I don't do anything to anybody. Me personally, I don't say a word. Even if you talk mess on me on Facebook and I see it in the comments, or if you talk mess to me to somebody else and I heard about it, I still will look you in your face and smile and continue to go about my day because I know at the end of the day I'm all right. But now it's gotten to a point to where it's like, wow, you guys are really going on my face. You take the time to go on my Facebook page to spam that I'm spamming the show, which is the only thing that I post. So just understand, for all the people that watch the show, if you're friends with me and you have a vendetta against him or the show and I know about it, because most likely I know about it, just know you're getting blocked as soon as I get off of this. I was trying to block y'all yesterday, but Facebook was like, hey, buddy, like, you know, we can't let you make any actions, perform any actions on Facebook until we get you out of jail. So I ain't posted bail yet. He won't let me. He said my bail was denied. So I'm going to just wait in jail. I'm going to just do my time. And best believe when I get out, oh yeah, I'm looking for all y'all in my friends list. Every single one of y'all. And best believe you won't be friends with me anymore. And if you're not friends with me on Facebook, you definitely won't be friends with me in real life. So just understand, I will be talking to him today. And I'll be getting a list of names that, you know, that might want to hurt the show some way, somehow. And because you guys hurt me now it's an issue.
Everyone loves me.
I can't get on Facebook at all now. You guys shut me off Facebook. You won. Congratulations. Congratulations. You won. You won. Are you happy? Are you fist pumping right now? Are you fist pumping? Do a Tom Brady fist pump for me and celebrate because you guys won the battle. You won the battle. You definitely won. You've definitely angered me. You've definitely made me upset. So that's my rant. Just to let y'all know I can't share the stream today and I can't like the stream because apparently I'm in Facebook jail because somebody in my friends list decided to spam me. But just know, I will be finding out. Because look, once I block you and then I start to share the stream again, it won't be blocked anymore. So just understand that
You're not the only one it's happening to.
Oh, that's weird. Wait, you said that was from who?
Heather Marie.
Oh.
Sorry, don't even say it. Don't even talk about it.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy. I cannot wait. Just understand. I cannot wait to get off. And I can't wait to see y'all in public, too. I cannot wait. Don't be like trying to walk up to me like, oh, what's up, E? How's it? Nah. Because I will. Look, let me tell you. If you got a feeling that if you see me in public that he might be just a little bit mad at me, I wouldn't approach me. I wouldn't, because I will embarrass you in public. You will try to greet me, and I will act like I do not know you in front of everybody, because I don't care. I'm nice to everybody.
Jessica
so.
Edwards says it was her. Your public egg consumption violates community standards.
Sorry I had to listen to me rant, but I just wanted to say that I am definitely annoyed now that me, the person who doesn't do anything and doesn't involve himself in politics, happen to be thrown in jail for politics. Sorry that y'all had to hear me. My bad. That was...
Rick, just so you know, Rick, I muted us for just a few minutes because Eric, it's his first time in Facebook jail, and he's definitely not taking it well.
I've been listening in, and that's pretty clear. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I figured, I knew you were sort of sitting there and prepping, and you were doing stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna let Eric let him say what he wants to say, and I'm like, Rick doesn't need to hear this right now. That's why I muted us for
that's cool.
For a few minutes.
It wasn't a problem. He's a passionate young man. I can understand why he was upset. I can understand that. We all, no matter how universally well loved you are, there's always a few haters out there. Hater gonna hate, right?
Of course. Yeah, and the thing about it, man, is like, if you gonna hate, that's fine. Be a hater, but then like, don't be trying to sabotage other people based off of your hate. Like, if you hate, just hate in silence. Just go in the bathroom, cry.
Right?
Take a shower, get out, look in the mirror, wipe the mirror, do the whole movie scene thing.
You don't have a scroll button on your mouse, just fucking scroll right by my shit if you like it, right? Nobody say you have to respond to it.
Exactly. I had to.
Mother never told you if you don't have something nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
And I know, and it's crazy because I know that is not going to happen again, because once I get rid of them all, I'll never get in trouble again on Facebook. So
no, yeah.
Well,
knock on wood, I haven't had that issue of being thrown in Facebook jail or anything. But
don't share the show. You'll figure out quick who
that'll do it, huh?
who got a vendetta against you.
Yeah, it's amazing. So Rick, and I don't know if you've dealt much with
my Facebook friends list is composed mostly of incoming friend requests, so it kind of pads me against people who are gonna be.
Well, mine's is the same way, and so at that point, I'm like,
right? What am I saying? It's really, that doesn't ensure anything, does it?
Yeah, and I'm like, if you friends of somebody that's in the community around me, I'ma add you as a friend because I feel like you're part of the community. But then, once you start...
Your feelings, your position, just in your bio probably would tip people off that, look, if this isn't for you, then don't hang around here. I'll be talking about this sort of thing, and this is my position on it. And people open up my page, and they can see right away, it's in parentheses, Mr. Soul, and there's always some cannabis content, and a lot of back and forth with people posting things and me to them. It's pretty clear I'm a cannabis person, if that's going to rub you the wrong way. And that happens less and less, thank God. Nowadays the stigma of marijuana use is so much more diluted into the population. They will accept it much better.
Yeah,
it used to be very hard. We talked about this on the last show, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. For years I was sort of quiet about the cannabis, side of things, and now that
as the man in the white shirt with a tie.
Well, but now that I'm happy, now that I'm fine with people knowing it, and it surprises me how many people that I didn't realize were sort of normalized to it, who are like, oh, that's great. A lot of people I thought that were going to be like, oh, the finger waggers, they're not. They're actually like, oh, that's really cool. I'm interested,
I've always had a theory that everyone smokes pot. It's just how much or little they're willing to admit it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like everybody. And I think it's a part of why there was a stigma is that a lot of first-time users of marijuana have a very strong reaction to it. They think, oh my God, I don't want this to be legal. If somebody's on this shit, they're going to be driving cars off bridges and shit. Because even myself, my first time getting high with my uncle in the backyard when I was like 14 years old, it was like a dream state that seemed to last 6 hours or something like that, And now you smoke, the same amount of weed, and you think to yourself, well, I can remain functional. I can do fairly complex tasks and converse with people. I might go off on tangents, but sometimes they're fun. But no harm done, you know what I mean? But that first time sometimes sends you for like, wow, maybe even my first couple of times I got super, super high. The kids in my neighborhood used to look at me and they'd say, I wish I could get as high as Rick does. Serious. True story.
And it was just, I guess by the nature of who I was hanging out with in high school, I didn't smoke weed in high school. It wasn't until I got to college that I tried, and my last name being Dube, when I got to college, everyone was like, they thought it was my nickname, right? They didn't believe it was my real name.
Yeah. Oh, you mean that's your real name?
And I literally
it's pronounced Dube.
Well, and I literally had people that would come up to me and basically be like, "Hey, I want to smoke. Your last name's Dube. I want to smoke you up." And it was great. I had folks like when I was first starting out, I had plenty of people offering it to me. But there was one person in particular that was from Puerto Rico, and this was back in like 1993, let's say. He's from Puerto Rico, and he says, "Mike, I just got a shipment in from Puerto Rico. I got a care package." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." He's like, "I got some amazing weed. Would you like to try some?" And now this is 7:30 in the morning. I have a class at 8, but I figured, hey, I'll have a quick little smoke, and then I'm off to class. Well, after one bong hit, within 5 minutes, I could swear that he was an alien that was about to kidnap me, and the way that he would kidnap people is to get them stoned and incapacitate them, and that I was about to get beamed up onto the mothership, and then who knows what happens from there. And about a half an hour later,
what a compassionate way of doing it.
Yeah, well, a half an hour later,
he got nice and baked, and then beam him up.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, and I'm thinking, well, in hindsight, I was like, that would actually be a very humane way of doing it. Like, instead of just beaming me up or like hog tying me and being like, get on the ship or something, they're like, oh, we're gonna get you nice and stoned first.
Yeah.
Right. So, and a half an hour in.
So what you're saying like, even though you had smoked a few times before that, this was like your first time with some really strong, good weed.
Oh, and it was, I didn't know it could be like that until I had smoked it. And it was probably like my third or fourth time, but so he turns to me, I'm like, that's it, I'm about to get beamed up. And he says, oh, I'm going to class now, I'll see you later. And he literally in his dorm room got on his bike. He smoked more than I did. He gets on his bike and he just rides down the hallway. And I managed to crawl back to my room and lie down. And I'm like, oh my God,
at least you were smart enough not to go to class.
You know what? That was the first day I skipped classes, and I woke up just in time for dinner.
You had good reason. Yeah.
I woke up just in time for dinner, and I was so happy that I was alive, and it was like the best meal I've ever had. I was like, I'm not.
Sounds like some stories that when people have edibles, and they get zoned out completely. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, we've all been there, I guess, in those early experiences of getting high, or at least smoking something that was substantially better than what you've been used to. I was in Amsterdam and smoked real haze, the first time, and I almost turned the guy, like when he showed me the bag of haze, it looked like a bag of twigs and little bits of green coming off of it here and there, and I'm like, that stuff looks awful, right? And he says, do you like sativa though? And I said, yeah, of course I love sativas. He says, here, try some of this. And man, one hit off of that first joint, and I'm sitting at on a bar stool, and he's on the other side of the bar, and one more, and I'm like, ooh, the flavor was just this incredible, and the aroma when I was rolling the joint, I could just tell this stuff is really special. So it was probably like your experience there, where you had already been high many times in your life. I mean, I'm in my 30s at this point when this experience happened to me, and the guy had a bag, like a full Ziploc baggie full of these twigs or whatever. And after that second hit, I just looked at him and I go, do you want to sell that whole bag? And he said, sure, and so that lasted me, fast forward to, we were about to move back from Belgium to the US and chose to move to Boston. So we moved to Boston and I started working as a bicycle mechanic or something until I could find an engineering job and to start growing and things like that. So, when I got there, I had smuggled that ounce or whatever it was of haze with me. And it lasted like 2 months at least for me and any friends and my wife and I smoking, because you needed so little of it. And it gave you this most like gripping, excited, high energy kind of high. You know, you're almost like paranoid out of your skin. I remember saying, please come and sit next to me, honey. I'm feeling kind of scared. So I think it's a matter of trying different cannabinoids perhaps and that sort of thing. You know, the different, I think, spectrums in each of the different types of weed and even one pheno to another greatly influence the effect that you get off of smoking. Even though at the same time you can still say, on the other hand, there's this commonality to all the highs, you know, that it's like, it's still, you know, it's a marijuana high, a weed high, a cannabis high, however, whatever the correct, politically correct word for it is today. But you know what I mean? It's still all that. I've always thought this is kind of philosophically interesting, that you can't describe what it feels like to be high on pot very easily. Like, you know, what is it? We all know, and it's like, you know, it clicks and you know that you're high, but to describe that feeling is not that easy. Whereas for things like LSD, it's a lot more clear cut, you know, like, well, you know, I'm feeling like my whole body is pulsating and vibrating with the universe and the walls are moving and I'm seeing like, you know, things coming out of corners. And if I wave my hand in front of my face, there are trails follow behind it and all this kind of stuff. And I think, you know, like, this is the most intelligent I've ever been in my life today. You know, I think this is what it's like to be, you know, on LSD and tripping, you know, but to say, okay, I smoke a joint, what does that really make me feel like? Difficult to put into words, I think. Write me an essay sometime. There's a challenge for you.
Right, right. Well, and yeah, that's interesting. I guess I'd never thought about that. And I've tried to think about it before too, but you know, it's funny because these days, especially being somebody who sort of consumes regularly, you know, my tolerance is what it is. And what that means is that unless the weed is really, really good, you know, there's only a certain area that I'll usually hit. But every once in a while, I'll take a hit of something that I'm like, whoa, like this is amazing stuff. And it's funny because that's the feeling that I usually try to figure out how to describe, is like when I hit that spot. Because for me, a lot of the rest of the stuff these days, and maybe it's just the nature of the industry out here in Massachusetts and stuff, but there's decent weed, but there's not a lot of like really good stuff available. Yeah. I don't know if it's the genetics. I don't know if it's compliance issues sometimes with the legal industry. I don't know. Historically, the gray market at least used to come up with, you know, with something really reasonable. And even these days, it's just interesting. Like the quality is kind of dipped.
Yeah, I've been the guy growing my own and providing for others. And so I was not really in the buying position so much as the selling position. So listening to as you speak about those issues, like, did I experience that? Not really, because I always had super high grade weed around me as much as I could smoke at all times, and I wasn't in the market to buy any. But I was growing stuff like from Super Sativa Seed Club when I first started working with them, and got every one of their strains in a can, you know, a soup can, lined up on my dresser, and I'm able to grow whatever I want. The Durban Thai High Flyer was one that just really stands out in my mind, as I had one female that I was cloning from that mother for a while, and it was just mind-blowing weed and sticky. The back appeal, it didn't really look like anything I see today. I have one of them from the original seeds that I used to make the Durban Thai C99 that I'm offering. Those seeds right now are very popular, and it's a great strain. But I wish I had the female that I had back in those days. It was like late 80s. Of course, I didn't know at the time to save it or anything. And my life changed so many times from that point to, later on when I started Brothers Grimm. I had been married twice and things like that, gone in and out of the cannabis scene, like cold turkey getting married to my first wife. She was adamant, no pot, that's a deal breaker. Instead of me saying, oh, you're right, that's a deal breaker, we shouldn't get married, I ended up marrying her and being married for 5 years to somebody who was like
slightly
a pilgrim. Like, I don't know, is a pilgrim the right word for it? One of these very
or even just like a little prohibitionist,
Victorian, right? Strict or Catholic rules about everything. So, well, how did I cast myself into that role? I must have felt I needed that, correction to whatever was going on in the trajectory of my life at the moment. And flatten the curve, I think, is the term they're using nowadays. Right?
Yep.
But I course corrected out of that and went back into cannabis after the divorce.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's interesting because over the last few years, I've transitioned from media into the cannabis industry, and it really wasn't until like my father knew that I was getting into the cannabis industry, and he was okay with it, but it really wasn't until he passed that like I was like, you know what, I'm actually like I'm now cool with everyone knowing what I'm up to, and
yeah. You wanted the privacy before that, right?
Yeah, I did, and also I think part of it too was that here in Massachusetts, obviously the cannabis industry matures at different rates in different places, right? And it all depends on the legalization process, usually within a state, as to how that looks. But there's a wild, wild west period for a while, and it's just
there has to be, yeah.
It's interesting. We're still somewhat in that phase here in Massachusetts, but I think it's one. To me, it's always one thing to like try something new. Like if you're a smart guy and you're like, I have an interest in starting a new business. It might be something I haven't done before, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna figure it out. You usually operate with a baseline of like, here's how the business world just works for everything. So I can go in there and at least I have a stake in the ground where I know that I can cement myself. Like I can have known expectations for this business. The cannabis, it's interesting because with the cannabis industry, when it's in its wild, wild west phase, a lot of those assumptions aren't valid anymore because, like if normally you're like, oh, if I'm going to engage with somebody in business, here's how that normally works.
Right.
And it's
so
not.
You're likening it to the straight world business and the cannabis world business being on certain level, still business is business. And so whatever you took from that previous experience into the cannabis business was useful, but needed tweaking, especially during what you're calling the wild, wild west period, which that's the time when guys like us feel the most comfortable because it's like, okay, it's like the black market. You're essentially doing everything under the table and shifting the pieces into place, which is really important when you think about it too, that this period exists. It has to at the beginning of a legalization period, because imagine philosophically, right, on a blank sheet of paper, we can think of your state sitting there and some legislators one day. Now, all of this is presumably that marijuana is illegal there. There shouldn't exist any marijuana in the state at all. The cops should have gotten all of it. The state is completely clean of any marijuana, any trace of marijuana. Like this is philosophically, a thought experiment, right? The government then says, okay, Massachusetts, you can now legalize marijuana. Well, it's illegal federally to ship cannabis across state lines. So if it didn't exist anywhere in the state, how are you getting it in there legally? You can't. Okay, so we've made it legal, but there's no legal way to bring anything into the state. So you get where I'm going with this, right? It necessitates the government to turn a blind eye for some wild, wild west period where oh, this just happens to be the strain, that we've always grown, and whatever, some hocus pocus has to take place there, right? There's no other way to explain that to happen, right?
Yeah, in Massachusetts, when cultivators first open, people aren't popping seeds, and the plants just sort of magically appear and start getting grown.
The seeds didn't just burst into existence in your state because the government made it legal that day. You know what I mean? It's a thought experiment, but you realize it shows that there's no real pure, clean way to say, okay, this is black and white, it's the law, versus being illegal. There has to be a wild, wild west period like that. And I'm comfortable with that, because then I don't like the idea of somebody who doesn't understand how the flow of cannabis normally operates, from the person producing it to the consumer, and how money exchanges hands, and the parties that cross paths along the way that we're all familiar with, and the cultivation side of it too, that we're used to doing this in a certain way, and we've perfected it over a long time, and so on and so forth. And then you flip the switch and you have a commercial production idea of, now we're going to grow marijuana like this, right? And how do you get from there to the other place? I never see the actual laws and implementation of those laws when they do legalize making sense in terms of the flow that I just described, like what we're used to in the way of cultivating or passing the money and the product from hand to hand. Seems to get messed up by the people trying to organize all of that, right? Same old problem, very typical of any kind of central planning. It's never as good as the free market just taking care of things, right? So, I don't like the idea of somebody saying to me, like, okay, you have to have numbers on all your plants. You have to tell us how much, what weight of leaves and branches that you trimmed off during pruning, and all these kinds of things. Like I need those kind of headaches. I've never thought about anything like that whenever I was doing cultivation in the past. So, those things irritate me. And I kind of love to be able to pass the ball to somebody else who wants to do the thing where it's all legal and following the rules and so on and so forth. And you set that kind of a facility up, man, I will get you the gear in terms of genetics that you need, and consult with you on doing things so that you're maximizing your results from our genetics. But don't ask me to go, with the handcuffs on through the facility, having to do things a certain way that I don't want to do it. That's just not for me. That's why I want to remain autonomous and run Brothers Grimm the way I want to do it. And so thankfully, I've been able to do it that way. I have partners who are willing to do the facilities where they follow all the rules. My guy in Oklahoma, Rocky Fisher, shout out to you, Rocky. He's doing a fantastic job. He's located near Tulsa. I guess it's Bixby, Oklahoma. And come check out our website, of course, brothersgrimmseeds.com, and all kinds of info on contacts and so on and so forth. And purchasing seeds are right there. brothersgrimmseeds.com. So, and I see your Dominion Seed Company shirt on, bro. That's very important that you're wearing that right now. My man, Duke Diamond, is in need of some help. There's a GoFundMe out there. I just made a contribution myself to help him out. So anybody listening to this, if you would please do us all a favor and try to help our boy Duke Diamond out.
You should reach out to him and try to get him on the show.
All right. Well, the reason that they are having a GoFundMe for him is he's not available at the moment. He's been his freedom is limited at the moment.
Oh,
you understand it.
Got it. Yeah, we hadn't heard that. It was actually.
I don't know the details. I see that you have the shirt on, and I'm like, that couldn't be more timely because the man needs some help. There's a GoFundMe out there. Look it up. It's not too hard to find. Go to seedsherenow.com, and that would be where you'd find the most pertinent info to that, and a link to how you could contribute to his GoFundMe.
Definitely.
All right. So anyway,
Well, so
very cost. He's always a helper to the others in the community his whole life. So when he needs help, I think we should point people in the direction and help this guy out.
yeah, and when we've met him, he was a really good guy.
Really was.
Yeah, he's very humble. We were partners for some time, and so I know him well.
And so, by the way, to your point, it's interesting because a lot of folks don't realize that when they open up a licensed cannabis business, it becomes a compliance business. So just to your point about,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of folks who are amazing growers, cultivators, and, they don't, it's interesting because I think when a lot of people complain about like, oh, dispensaries, the quality within dispensaries suffer, and I think a lot of times like people forget about the amount of compliance that goes on, and it really, the moment you open your doors, you become a compliance business. It's really about how do you keep the doors open? What do we have to do to keep producing and stay in business?
You're not going to make boutique quality cannabis, in the same way that, crafts people like myself and others who are working on a smaller scale with much more control over the processes that are going to giving the client their final product. And so, the mass production level of the volume that they're putting out, it makes hand trimming and these kinds of things just seem, impossible. We're not going to possibly be able to do it that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm told that the automatic trimmers are getting better now to the point where, you really get a fine result from them. I'm going to try that one of these days, I'm sure. But, I've got guys in the next room trimming right now, and it's all, eyeballs and scissors and just gentle care. And we put each bud as soon as it's trimmed right into a mason jar until it's filled and seal it. And away you go. They're not going to get that in a dispensary, right?
Yeah, well, and I've seen a number of dispensaries out here in their cure rooms, and they're definitely not all created equal.
You get something like this, nice.
Oh yeah,
jar,
that's pretty.
Nicely manicured. This is Jack Hair, by the way. I know the cameras on these things probably don't work that great.
No, it looks beautiful.
But that's what I like, when I make my product, it's to be like that, when it's flower, and of course, and to produce great flower like that, that's where all the breeding and the experience from that came in, to be able to get plants that you can reliably get that kind of an output from. Mm-hmm. This has been a really good time as we go forward with legalization, especially in Oklahoma, where I told you my friend and partner is operating a Brothers Grimm Genetics centered in Oklahoma, and expanding from where I am in Colorado and so forth. And it seems like it couldn't have been a better state to have a foot in the door in, because there's this wild, wild west that went on, I think, a much longer time, and it had a much stronger acceleration in the beginning because the low cost of licenses in Oklahoma and the lack of zoning, where you can pretty much find a facility and then grow there and get a license inexpensively without worrying like, oh, but you can't do it. This area is not zoned. Like in Colorado, it's extremely limited where you can get a license to grow and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Very fortunate to have a legal, means to do this, what I do, and without going into great detail. I mean, many people here in Colorado know that. So when Oklahoma opened up, it seemed almost like too good to be true. I couldn't believe my friend was telling me, no, out here, $2,500 for the license. You can pretty much get a facility and just grow because you don't have to worry about the zoning. Wow, let's go. That sounds like the way it should be,
Yeah.
Whoever did the legalization actually did it in a way that would suit old school people like myself.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I know here in Massachusetts, as much as they've been doing a lot of good work around trying to prioritize folks that, to help give them a leg up when they're trying to start the business, there's always loopholes in that, and it's an interesting journey. That economic empowerment here in Massachusetts has been slow going. I think after a few years now of it being a thing, there's only maybe 9 or 10 active companies that are EE applicants, for instance, which are the ones that operate, but they also are required to give back to the community, not just, the normal stuff that cannabis companies in Massachusetts have to give back to offset, if there's increased traffic or they have to hire more cops and that sort of thing. But the economic empowerment ones actually give back to the communities that are some of the ones that are most in need. And there's really been very few companies here in Massachusetts that have made it all the way through the process. It's been an interesting ride. We're actually part of an EE applicant licensure that we're going to be growing craft cannabis here in Massachusetts. So, and I know Nate and Avril Andrade are huge fans of your genetics, so I'm sure we're going to be. We've been talking about it too, and just the idea of, and even our last conversation when you came on the show, there were some chords that struck with me even afterwards, and just the idea of, when you're. Ideally, we'd love to pop seeds, not start off with clones. And this is, I was alluding even to how Massachusetts, it's the one area that nobody really knows how the plants start in the dispensaries. They just know they seem to happen very quickly. And, but that said, I think the ideal is to pop seeds. I think the genetic, everything, I think you're getting a stronger plant when you're growing it from seed. But to your point, even with the last time that you came on, there reaches sometimes when you're a casual home grower, maybe you can grow and then and look and sex the plant and then decide which ones you're keeping and which ones are going. But it's definitely beneficial to be able to start out with feminized seeds so that you're not having to worry about sexing them. You're not getting rid of stuff. You're not wasting square footage for some amount of time. And certainly for licensed cannabis businesses, it's really all. You want to grow amazing product, but you have to find that balance where you're outputting as much as is as reasonable within the square footage and your capabilities, right? You still need to make that money, but you still want to uphold the highest that level of quality that you want, right? So
it's interesting that you say all of those varying things about the different ranging needs from a closet grower to a commercial guy, and how a lot of, if you filtered through what you just said for the last minute, was how they all are still benefiting from starting from fem seed. And again, let's remember we're talking about a thought experiment, perfect world where these seeds are assumed to be giving you nothing but female plants, no hermaphrodites and so forth. And you can reliably expect the plants that come from each of the strains that are offered by such a company all perform as described in the description in terms of, the growth pattern and the type of high and the, yields and all those other things, So they would all be beneficial qualities to the consumer, whether they're a closet grower or commercial grower. On the commercial grower side, he's thinking, hey, rather than try to get a bunch of clones that, admittedly, they're living organisms. It's impossible for them to all start off at an identical height and an identical, stage of development. When you're looking to have thousands of them at the same time, boom, all start in a greenhouse or wherever your growing location is. But what if in our thought experiment, you have those types of seeds that are reliable, that are all female, and he plants beds and beds and beds of those seeds, and they all germinate and grow pretty much at the same time. They all came from the same batch of seeds, presumably. And then the consistency of the uniformity of the plants and the timing of when they'd all be ready at the same time and that their growth characteristics would all match like as if they were clones makes them a better clone than a clone, right? That's how I look at it. So for the commercial grower, he gets all those nice benefits and his bottom line improves and so on. But the commercial, then the closet grower on the other end of the spectrum, he knows that I can buy a handful of seeds here, know that they're all going to be females. My personal strategy when I was growing on a small scale and had just gotten started was, you buy a pack of seeds, you're supposed to throw the whole pack of seeds down and germinate them all, and then grow them out to at least a stage of a foot tall or 6 inches tall, or somewhere at some point, some weaklings are going to be culled from the group. You're going to keep trying to keep the best ones going. And then from that smaller group than you started from, you've got the best of the best. And that's how you utilize a pack of seeds. You're getting the best, whatever was in that pack. There's no point in starting 1 or 2 seeds and then saying, well, I'm saving the other ones for some future time. When just buy another pack of seeds then, you know what I mean? Use the seed pack that you got to its fullest capability. And when you have the kinds of seeds that we're talking about in our thought experiment, where they're perfect, guys like that can then have the space that they're using be used really effectively, because small plants and solo cups don't take up much room. But when that group of 12 or so solo cups is now going into 3-gallon pots, they're going to take up maybe 4 times the amount of space. So you want to cut down the amount of plants at that point and pick only your best ones and only transplant them into the bigger pots, and so forth when you go on to the next bigger size pot, and so on. So that's strategy wise. What I feel is, I'm just passing that on and thinking I'm a little bit on a tangent, but from the standpoint of a guy wanting to use a pack of seeds on a small scale, these are the kinds of strategies that I think they should be using, and the smart ones too. But it still benefits them to have those qualities of a real female seed to start with. Yeah. That's what I'm here for. There you go. I have clients in Massachusetts for sure. I know there was a big growing concern up in Gloucester that I have seeds. They bought many seeds and grew up there. There's guys out in the western part, out where like Norman Rockwell country. What's that one city there where the mayor pretty much opened it up to cannabis companies? I can't, it's like on the tip of my tongue, but it's out there in the
So there's some folks out in Western Mass. There's also Uxbridge has been very friendly to folks.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what it is there's a lot of communities that are actually opening it up fairly wide to both cultivation and manufacturing here in Massachusetts. It's the retail that still has this, not just the stigma, but I guess also some community concerns, whether it's
the NIMBY
traffic
effect, not in my backyard, right?
Well,
so they don't want some dispensary down the street selling weed to the kids in the neighborhood, and any, I suppose, rubbish on streets that you could imagine that it starts to appear when you have too much loitering of young people with nothing to do, and that's what's happening. The gentrification of the neighborhood is taking a hit.
Well, and the thing is too is that a lot of the folks that vocalize those concerns, they don't realize that the people that are normally it's not, people aren't smoking weed and then vandalizing and
right.
and going to the bathroom in public.
Yeah, but this is what the little voters and the little communities are thinking.
Yeah,
and they're being told that by people that are against them.
Thanks, Nancy Reagan.
Exactly.
This is your brain on drugs, right? It's really actually did condition a lot of people.
Speaking of Nancy Reagan, I'm so sorry to stop you, but Joe Biden right now, like when you think about the fact that the more liberal, supposedly, of the two candidates that are going to be going forward, presumably for president this season, I mean, Joe Biden being so anti-marijuana, it's like, are you kidding? I mean, what do we do about something like that? Vote for Trump? I mean, it's like, help me. Yeah. Just help me. How can he explain himself on this, completely draconian, old-fashioned view on marijuana? Like he doesn't believe it should be legalized at all.
which is just, I mean, I understand that there are still folks that are struggling with the idea of recreational use being, morally acceptable. But I mean, at this point, it really just seems awfully medieval for folks to sort of say that there's no medicinal benefits. It's clear that there are, and even if folks are dragging their feet around, you know, I understand, I'm sure there's big money out there that's sort of vying for, like, well, hey, if this actually is effective, like, let's make sure that things go in a way where we have access to make a lot of money through cannabis, right? And we're seeing patents getting taken out. I mean, for years now, there's been a fellow, I think out of Vegas, who's been taking out utility patents on strains, right? And I think the idea is that there may be a bunch of folks that will say, hey, I'm not worried about that. He can, but we all know how patent trolling works. And the bottom line is that people get rich off of it because it's actually cheaper to just pay the person to go away and leave you alone than actually fight that you have rights to the intellectual property, right? So it's between the federal government doing that, right, taking out patents on I think it was like artificially created cannabinoids, for medicinal purposes. You see how it's going. It'll be interesting. I mean, I think that's the thing is, like, Joe, I don't know. I don't know how much Joe's personal moral compass really affects what he's saying, just like with the other side, right? How much of what they're saying should be, this is the way it's going to be, has to do with what they truly believe and what,
At least on that side, it's easier to figure out because you just follow the money and you just say, well, okay, they're greedy motherfuckers. The guy's going to want to tap into every possible source of revenues and, sneaky backdoor dealings and, talking to leaders of other countries and trying to make deals and shit like that. So what to expect. And they say the devil is better than the angel you don't know.
Well, and right, but what, one thing I figured, Rick, when I was 17 and I was about to register to vote for the first time, and I was thinking, and my parents were really sort of like, they didn't lean necessarily one way or another. I think they probably were a bit liberal. My mother was a school teacher, but
likewise.
There was no real, like, we're hardcore anything in my.
Yeah, it didn't seem that way then. Much more difficult to find families like that now, I suppose. It's either the polarization of the politics in general, I think, is what's caused it. It's not anything to do with the family, but it's just the environment we're living in.
Well, I mean, and certainly, media literacy is such a much more important thing these days, because back when I was a kid, there was no internet. There was,
of course.
There weren't 400 channels or 1,000 channels on television. There were, a half a dozen to a dozen between UHF and VHF. But what I can tell you is that when I went to register to vote, I sat there and I'm like, well, oh geez, like which one do I pick? I don't know any of the issues. I don't know.
Why not just register independent, unless that stops you from participating in a primary or something?
It does, and so I thought, hey, I want to make sure I participate. But here was my logic when I was that age was, okay, so which party should I pick? Like, I'm picking a party right now. This is where I'm aligning. Like, I didn't know yet. I just figured I have to pick, and this is going to define me. Like, this is going to define part of me, right?
You took it very seriously.
I did, and so you know what I did though? Because I thought I was like, you know what? I want to be rich, so I should pick Republican, because Republicans
won't make you rich somehow by association.
Well,
nor are all Republicans rich.
Oh no, and that was my stupid.
This is the way the mind thinks when we're young.
And then I went to college, and one of my first classes was the blurring of the lines between the parties, right?
Wow. So right away you get that right in the face.
And then also what I realized was that Republican or Democrat, actually, like you said, makes no difference to your income level. It's really just sort of a fictitious monolithic entity that you're aligning with, because it's sort of like a sports team. like,
Yeah, you're sharing in a fantasy football team here where you believe that, I mean, I believe that people who are earning more than the average person and consider themselves well off are still well below the level where this party would actually help them in their financial situation. But they'd like to dream that they're, and they are encouraged if, you think about the way that the Republican Party pitches themselves to people and their masses, what do they call the base, right?
well, and I mean, there's a reason why the two parties, like, there's a reason why the two parties continue to want to operate in like in an oligopoly sort of like environment, right? And it's because that it's much
Money talks.
and
That's why.
it's much better if it's me and you playing the game than like me and you and 50 other people playing the game, right? Like, let's not water down the message. It's better for us to like fight it out between the two of us.
Yeah,
than to have
there's
the
all
battle royale.
if you study philosophy, they get into this stuff sometimes in political philosophy in particular, how by any form of government, it always attracts the worst kind of people because, who would want those kinds of jobs, other than, manipulative, greedy, self-serving people with enough money to run a strong campaign and put themselves forward. You're always going to get these kinds of pieces of shit, and it's unavoidable. So at the same time, you feel like political apathy isn't the right reaction, and you just don't throw your hands up in the air and say, well, fuck it, nihilism.
So, it's interesting because I find a similarity here with the cannabis industry, which is if you go around, like I've done this, like I have a very strong moral compass, and unfortunately I hold myself to a high standard. I know I'm not perfect, but it ends up meaning
that's not something to be saying, unfortunately, I'm like this. I mean, more people should be like that. Don't apologize for that, really.
But the thing
I
is,
mean, we should hold ourselves to a high standard,
Well, and I agree with that, but I also realize that I end up holding others to that high standard, which sometimes isn't easy. And so, for a lot of folks, they might feel like I'm not judgmental. I'm like, we're all human, we're all mess up, but I do believe that everyone should be trying to be a good person, right? Yeah. And
I do a lot of forgiving and forgetting. I realize that I'm human. I also realize that in the time I've been on the planet, you start to notice patterns. Like at the time the person made the mistake, they didn't know they were making a mistake. We all think we're doing the right thing at the moment, given the information we have in any given moment. So I like to approach somebody who's made a mistake by saying, hey, look, it's come to my attention that this incident happened. And I realized that we never think we're doing the wrong thing at the time. I'm sure you thought you were doing the right thing, but let's discuss why it went wrong and how it went wrong. So in the future, that doesn't happen again. Is that fair? And, the person will be able to sit down with you and you have a clean outcome and that you've saved face and you're pragmatic, because what's the point of berating somebody and making them feel terrible? Is that going to get a better performance from them later? No, but what I just described will, and when you learn to deal with yourself and other people that way, I think you can hold everyone to a high standard as well as yourself and live an authentic life, because you don't really want to be faking it, right? I mean, there's so much value I feel in living an authentic life, and cannabis has allowed me to do that because I get up every day and I do what I feel is like the right thing to earn a living, the most honest thing I can do, and what feels more at my core normal, being that, we're all human beings, that were cave people for a much longer time than we've been modern, right? And what did we do during those? Like cultivate plants and animals and work with the earth and the cycles of the seasons and so on to produce our foods and clothing and so on. So it's such a natural feeling of what I do feels good at that human core level, as well as I feel like I'm doing an honest thing. I'm not sitting in a chair, because I have a degree hanging on a wall and somebody's paying me a salary to sit in the chair in case there's something that someone like myself would be able to solve the problem or whatever it may be as an engineer that I might have, or design something to do a specific thing. But a lot of times jobs like those are made up of time where you're compromising your values by being a sort of a charlatan, but by sitting in a chair and pretending to be busy for 8 hours to, be able to collect a paycheck, where it's not really what you would want to do, and you're not really getting the gratification, satisfaction from it that I get now getting up, and I look forward to everything that I have to do for the day. It's not some sort of necessary evil to make a living. Absolutely. There's an old saying that I think was, I forget, a woman definitely said it, but you know who it was? Eleanor Roosevelt. She said, you wouldn't care so much about what people thought of you if you realized how infrequently they do.
Right.
What do you care what other people think of it? It's not like they're thinking about you very much. Believe me, like they're thinking about themselves 99% of the time. And, another like human trait is that we tend to focus on the one, fly in the ointment. There's this great photographer, Joel Grimes, right? I went to one of his seminars, and he's a great portrait photographer, and he's great with like the Photoshop and the post-processing and all this stuff that I wanted to learn how to do. And I eventually learned how to do it to a degree that satisfies me. I'm certainly not on this guy's level. That's why he gives the seminars, right? So during the course of the seminar, he related this story where he posts some pictures on Instagram or whatever it was for, some time. He's a very popular guy. He's got a huge following. And he says he got like 100 comments on this new photo he put up, right? 99 of them were like, awesome. Oh my God. Wow. Like great. All these positives. One guy says, another 3-light portrait. Like he says, for the next week, do you think that I thought about any of those positive comments? No. The one guy who said that one ugly comment was all that would keep coming back to my mind. It's just like human beings we're wired that way. And it's not that it's a bad thing, but it's something that when you have you gain power by recognizing that will be your tendency and then guarding against that. You know what I mean? It's like, when you're a stoner, you're going to be forgetful. And so you take certain steps to avoid losing things or forgetting things, right? Same thing when you learn something about human nature that you can apply to yourself, where like, oh, I know I'm going to probably obsess over the negative comments, if there are any. And I should know that that's really not important, and don't waste any time in your, rent out any space in your mind to allow that kind of thinking to even happen. Just dismiss it right as soon as it comes into your head and say, oh, look at me being silly. You know what I mean? That's what I try to do anyway. But you learn those things along the way.
Well, Rick, we appreciate you spending so much time with us today. Sorry that we were a little late. We appreciate you being patient with us while we got on. And I know
that's all normal.
I know how important your time is, and so, we definitely recognize, you and I originally had talked about these things, and we were like, hey, it'd be great to keep it for like 10, 15 minutes so that you could get on with your day, but we really appreciate that you sat down with us for so long and hung out and had some great conversation with us.
It's fun sometimes to, like we were just talking about anything instead of, being the canned group of questions that I'm normally asked, on any given interview or podcast or something like that. So I like that format. We'll keep it loose and do this again in the future. And you guys have a great time until I see you next.
Yeah, we really appreciate you, Rick. We'll talk to you real soon.
Have a good one,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Thank you.
All the best.
You
Take
too.
care.
You too, bud. Rick Campanella, awesome dude. We're really lucky to be able to have him on the show. A lot of big fans out there. Can we hear Mike yet? Yes, Nick, you can hear us. Ready for this? Pew! Today was a good show. Hold on, we got some winners for the contest today. Doodly-doo. So is Jason Vandervelde here in the audience? Are you still watching, Jason? Jason, if you are...
Jason, because if you don't answer, your ass ain't getting nothing. And it goes to the next person.
Ready? Pew! I'm going to get the Kushroom thing back
This
up.
right
We
here.
got some cool stuff coming up for you
This
guys.
is Mizan.
So Jason Vandervelde, are you still here? Jason. All right, Jason's not here.
Wow.
Michelle Shaw. No, this is by the way, this is exactly what I said was.
Michelle.
So Catherine had some of her friends come on. Catherine's friends knew the answer. They answered.
But
so
they
these
left
are
early.
But they left, so they're not here now, right? All right, so Michelle Shaw, you here?
Catherine, Michelle. Who
How about
next?
Dwayne Bartlett? Do we have a Dwayne Bartlett?
I ain't never heard none of these names.
Is Dwayne here?
And I know they not here. This finna be some nice. This finna be nice.
I'm starving, actually.
After we keep going down this line, guess what? Oh, Michelle. Hi, Michelle. You got lucky. Look who showed up. Michelle showed up.
Gino's like, I'm here. All right, Michelle, you won.
Michelle. Congratulations.
Michelle won.
Congratulations.
You won the CBD, honey.
to you.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you.
And you get a song?
Congratulations.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you get a song, but you get half the sticks.
Oh, yeah. Michelle, you didn't hear about taxes. Eric takes taxes.
So you take this and cut it in half, 48%.
40.
And you showed up, but oh wait, no, she showed up late, didn't she?
No, she showed
2% every day, so it's half 50. Get 50% of these.
He just loves it. He just wants to. No. How about this? How about if you get to keep those honey sticks and we give Michelle her own?
Break them in half.
give Michelle her
whatever
own.
honey drips out is going in my mouth.
Let's give Michelle her own honey sticks. You can have those.
I don't know, Michelle. I don't know.
Michelle, we're so happy for you. Good job, Michelle. We appreciate you. Make sure you follow and like the show because by the way, we give away prizes every day.
Excited. You
Give
get
away
some
stuff every day.
250 milligram honey sticks
From Hempt.
Well, it's
That's
actually
Ralph
125 milligrams.
And actually 10 milligrams in each stick, apparently. Taxes.
This show is like the county jail.
Taxes. All right. Congratulations. Oh, so Michelle, the way that this works is
You gotta send your name, your address.
yeah, but not to
and
us. You got to
ID.
send it to Hempt. So if you go to Hempt MA, which is like Hempt, Massachusetts, it's Ralph Greenberg. If you can't find him, then you can message the show and we'll help you.
MA.
But Hempt MA, find him on Facebook. When we switch in a minute to the end thing, you'll see their logo flash. It's like a H. It's like a I don't know. It's a white background with a black H. Hempt MA. If you just write to them and say, "Hey, I won," and don't worry, they'll check with me to make sure. But if you just message them, you can give them your contact info. They'll mail you out the CBD honey sticks directly to you. I'm assuming you're in Maine because you knew the answer to today's question. And by the way, I've noticed that's a common thing. That when the guest gives us the answer like that, their friends are like, bang, I won the contest.
Yeah.
Boom.
And that's cool.
That's all right.
Because guess what?
But y'all should be coming back, though, to enter other
'Cause
contests.
if y'all don't come back, guess what? We come find you.
Poor Heather Marie Brown is muted.
Oh yeah, back to that. I can't wait. Ooh, all y'all getting blocked off. Not just my Facebook. Y'all getting blocked out of my life. You hear that? My life. You will never, ever be a part of anything that has to do with me.
Wait, what's this? If
For the people who blocked me, who got me locked off Facebook. What you talking about? Who? I can't get on Facebook, and who else? Heather can't get on Facebook. So guess what? Y'all ain't gonna be able to see my life. And whatever I do, just know you're not invited at all. No, like at all. I'm talking about you can show up to the front door, and you gonna see yourself right on out.
Today's tie was a Versace, for those of you that are keeping track.
Crazy folks.
And
What
look
the
at this
hell
thing.
wrong
This
with
is
y'all?
cool, right? This thing.
Pissing me off. I can't wait.
I don't follow either, Mike.
Oh, Dwayne showed up late. Dwayne,
you would have.
you would have, my brother, but you're late.
Sorry, bud. Your
Guess
buddy
we-
won.
I mean,
Your
we
other
could
buddy
sing,
won.
We could sing to you though. Oh, Dwayne,
No, Nick,
woulda
Nick,
won.
look at Nick. Look what's Nick
If
doing.
he would have showed up on time, Dwayne would have
Apparently,
won.
Nick's putting himself on the hook for some
He would have
CBD.
showed up on time.
No, you send Nick your
woulda won.
details. Send Nick your details.
Showed up
'cause
on time.
Nick just
You
apparently decided
won.
that you won.
If you showed on time,
So Nick,
you would have won.
enjoy sending out some CBD honey sticks.
I don't know who you getting them from.
Nick
You ain't getting these.
Nick picked his own winner today. So Dwayne,
Didn't win, my brother.
you were third place, so Michelle actually won anyway.
But
If
good luck
Michelle hadn't
tomorrow.
shown up, then you would have won. But
Tomorrow
Michelle
there's
was here.
a chance if you show up
But
on time.
come back and watch tomorrow. We have a cool show tomorrow.
You ain't doing nothing tomorrow. You shut in. You locked in. You can't go to the store. You can't go to work. Don't be trying to make up excuses. Your kids is still asleep by the time the show starts. So
I still need breakfast.
I don't hear none of that.
Needs breakfast.
Back to them haters. Oh yeah, I know y'all watching.
No, we
know
appreciate you,
y'all
Dwayne. You would have, Dwayne, if Michelle hadn't shown up.
Dwayne said thanks anyway. Much love.
If Michelle hadn't
Dwayne
shown back
mad
up,
as
you would
hell.
have won, Dwayne.
Dwayne mad as hell.
Yeah, Dwayne's like,
you
peace
say
out.
thanks anyway. That means
He
like,
has.
yeah, F y'all. I should have won, and I would have came back tomorrow if I would have won. But since I ain't win, I'm not coming back, and that's okay, Dwayne. We love you.
Dwayne, Nick the intern says you want to date with him, though. Yeah, you wrote that in the comments, too. Not CBD.
Well, Dwayne, good luck.
Enjoy.
Hope it all goes well.
We,
Try not to drink anything that looks cloudy. Look, if it's an alcoholic drink and it's bubbling, it probably shouldn't be. It's not champagne.
I'm confused.
What you mean? When you put that Bill Cosby in a drink.
Oh.
What you talking about? You confused. You put that Bill Cosby in your drink.
I'm doing the Bill Cosby vase.
Look at it. Alcoholic drink. Look at it. Let me tell you, orange juice don't bubble. If you put vodka, if you get a vodka orange juice and it's bubbling, it's not supposed to. That means it's a chemical reaction going on, and you need to not drink that.
How you doing?
Nobody's in the comments but Nick. What a surprise.
No, there's still some people watching.
What a surprise.
Definitely people watching. There's actually a bunch of people watching. They're just not commenting.
Oh, I know who it is.
They're just not
I know who's watching. It's all the people that's not supposed to be watching.
Let's go get some lunch.
Cussed. My
Let's go
bad.
get some
I'm gonna
lunch.
go off.
Lunch sponsor. We need a lunch
That's
sponsor.
the end of the
Lunch.
show, and all the haters watching, but we need to go. And y'all got me blocked, so I don't F with y'all no more. That's the end of the show.